All right. The NFL draft is less than a week away. In fact, it's already on Thursday. So tonight, this stream's going to be about going over some scenarios. How is it going to work? We're going to start off with Cleveland at number one and then go all the way down to 32 and go over possible scenarios. Because so many different things can happen in this NFL draft, including last year, a bunch of crazy things happened. And guess who's here to join us tonight?
Me.
That's right. You've been on here a couple of times already. You were here for the draft board. You're going to be here for when we get to the NBA draft lottery because let's just face it, I know nothing about the NBA because it's really been unwatchable the last couple of years. Although
Yeah,
this year it's been pretty lit, though. Not that I really say words like lit, I think they're really annoying to use. But honestly, it has been.
it's
But
been
that's
better.
another thing for another day.
You're right. The lottery. I'm an NBA expert, so I got you.
Yes, you're going to be needed here pretty soon. But tonight, this is mainly for the NFL draft. And there's different scenarios that can play out on Thursday's first round. So let's start it off with the Cleveland Browns. Like, this one's an obvious one, but it's not as obvious as you would think. Like, we know they're going to go quarterback, but the question is which one?
There's a right answer, and there's what the Browns are gonna do. Right answer is Josh Rosen. What the Browns are gonna do is Sam Darnold.
Well, I think they are going to go Sam Darnold here, but surprisingly, I've seen mock drafts where they have him taking Josh Allen, which I wouldn't like whatsoever because what have we seen out of Josh Allen that can
Nothing.
show he's going to be a Carson Wentz? Maybe not even a Carson Wentz, because even though Carson Wentz had an MVP type season, let's just face it, he didn't finish the job. Technically, Steve Sarkisian finished it for him.
Facts. I think if Allen gets picked, he's not going to be any good. He's a bust, walking bust.
Yeah, the Browns thing that they would do is probably Josh Allen, but I think Sam Darnold will be okay. But unfortunately, I think Josh Rosen is the best quarterback in this draft class.
Free.
And every single day that passes by, I still think that Josh Rosen is the best quarterback in this draft for the simplest reasons. He's played in a better system than Sam Darnold has because Sam Darnold just came in when it was a mess at USC when they
Yeah.
started 1-3, and they were talking about firing Clay Helton even though he just took over as head coach.
Yep.
Even though
Uh,
UCLA was kind of a mess, though, it just showed what their team was like without Josh Rosen. It just shows how much value he has to an organization, or should I say, an internship, being the NCAA.
yeah. Yep. They don't get paid, so it's not a job.
And there's so many teams that are interested in Josh Rosen. I think the Jets like Josh Rosen.
They
In
do.
fact, it wouldn't surprise me if they did a Cow and Magic Beans trade to trade up to number one Thursday morning to get Josh Rosen.
Maybe. I think they're going to sit at 3. They don't have the assets to move forward without mortgaging away future picks, which I don't think they want to do.
Well, the Jets, they may have gone 5-11 last year, but they didn't play like a 5-11 team. They could have gone maybe 9-7 or maybe 8-8. They just let too many close games slip away at the end. And I think if they can get a quarterback like Josh Rosen, I think they can be a playoff team easily. I mean, we all thought that Jared Goff was going to be a bust, and he ended up taking the Rams to the playoffs, even though it's really just Sean McVay, and he's out of the Jeff Fisher torture
Yeah.
chamber.
Well, Goff's a system quarterback. He's average.
Right, and I'm still not sold on the Rams yet either, which we can talk about the Rams all I want now because they don't have a first round pick anymore.
Yeah, the Rams, they're not going to be special. They're going to be in salary cap, like their salary cap's going to be messed up after this year. It's going to get rough for them.
And there are people that actually think the Rams are going to win the Super Bowl this year. I've
Playoff team
honestly got news for people. Remember what happened when the Eagles had their dream team? What year was that? Was it like 2011 or 2013, where
with
they
Vic.
had this dream team and they ended up going like what was it, like 5-11 or something like that?
Yeah.
They'll
Yeah.
even be lucky to get 8-8. In fact, I will be astonished if they even have a winning record.
They'll go
Just
8.
by looking at what you signed in that offseason. Aqib Talib, washed up. And Ndamukong Suh, washed up.
Yeah.
Marcus Peters, talented, but a little overrated on the side. And he does have some temper tantrums sometimes, like he threw the flag into the stands, and he was a part of that controversy of the national anthem.
Yeah. I think they're in a bad division, so they'll get wins off of that, but they're a wild card team or a first round exit playoff team.
Yeah, that could be what would happen though. Like it'd be ideal for them if they made the playoffs, because
Yeah.
really, at the very least, they could get a wild card spot because we know San Francisco's on the rise. We know that Seattle's going downhill. And we know the Cardinals are probably going to stay downhill for a while
Yeah.
unless they get the franchise quarterback they want.
They won't.
All right, so I feel like we talked about the Rams a little bit too much. Let's move
Yeah.
on to the Giants now with pick number 2. And this is where it gets interesting because we don't know what the Giants are really going to do yet. We don't know if they're going to go quarterback. We don't know if they're going to go Saquon Barkley, who's a once in a decade type of player. I don't care who disagrees. Or
Yeah.
maybe even Bradley Chubb as a replacement for Jason Pierre-Paul. Although I think there's less than a 5% chance of that.
They're going Barkley or trading down.
So I'm taking note. I'm going to take mental notes because I feel like you know more about this stuff than I am. And there is a team that I think is going to trade down as well. I'm not going to say it right now because, this has got to be a surprise. But I told you before we started. So it's going to get interesting.
What's your take? Barkley, you think they're going Barkley or?
I feel like if they really want a running back, they could go Barkley. But if you notice that the running back, like the meat and the potatoes of the running back class, are in rounds 2 and 3. Like you got Ronald Jones, you got Sony Michel potentially, you got Nick Chubb, Kerryon Johnson, maybe even Darius Geis, depending on what the teams do around that. Or they could maybe take Quentin Nelson, like you said back in the top 50 draft board, that whoever drafted Quentin Nelson would see, what was it, about a 250 yard,
200,
about 200 yards improvement on their rushing, because that's how versatile that Quentin Nelson is.
Yep. Still believe it.
So this is a good one so far. With the Giants, we came up with about 4 possible things. We've done quarterback, Saquon Barkley, Quentin Nelson, and Bradley Chubb. Although Bradley Chubb, I think there's maybe less than 5%. Quentin Nelson's probably 1%. Because really, people don't really go offensive lineman number 1 anymore. I don't think it's happened since 2013.
Yeah. I mean, the offensive line is important, so.
But you don't really see it go number 1, though.
Yeah, because it's all glorified skill position players.
All right. Well, now we're into we're pick number 3, the New York Jets, and we know they're going quarterback here. The question is which one, because the 2 teams ahead of them are on the lines of going quarterback. We know at least one of them's going quarterback. We're about 50-50 on the other, almost, or about maybe 40-60, or maybe we're about 35-35 and
toss up, yeah.
So the New York Jets, we know they're going quarterback because they made that trade. In fact, who was that one guy that made fun of me for using the number 87% by saying the Jets wouldn't draft at 6?
I don't know. I don't remember. You called it, though.
Yeah, because there was some guy that was like, he only said 87 because it's 80 is not enough, 90 is too much, 85 is a little too much, just 87. And I made sure to say it 10 times. I knew it was going to happen.
Yeah. So what quarterback did they go with?
Well, here's the deal. There's there's a couple different possibilities for this one. I think they really like Josh Rosen.
Yeah.
What their concern is, are the Browns going to take him? Or are the Giants going to take him? I think that's their main concern. I think the Jets wanted to originally maybe trade up to number 2 or even number 1, but they didn't really have the assets they wanted, or they didn't want to take a big risk. Or maybe they were trying to bluff it a little bit by thinking one of them panics and takes Saquon Barkley.
Yeah.
That's what I really think. It wouldn't surprise you if something came out and so they tried to trade for number one. I think that's what originally happened.
You think they wanted to, but they just couldn't?
I think they actually wanted one or two. I think they wanted to try to get in that top two so they can either get guaranteed Darnold or Rosen,
They'll go with best quarterback available.
which I think is possibly going to end up being Baker Mayfield.
Yeah. Depends on what the Giants do.
Yeah, the Giants is a huge question right now because I know Eli Manning does have maybe 2 more years left in him. Although, do you want to just take the quarterback, learn under him? But I don't think like spending like the number one or number two draft pick or whatever.
Yeah, I agree.
And just not even to like play him for 2 years. I just think that's not only a waste of maybe like potential like salary cap or like the money to because they got to have these like signing bonuses and this guaranteed stuff.
The
And
waste
you're
of
giving them guaranteed, even though they're not even going to see the field most likely. I mean, I'm surprised it took as long as it did for Trubisky to see the field last year.
Yeah, I'm with you there. Glennon was terrible.
Hasn't Glennon been on like 6 different teams?
Yeah, he's terrible.
See, at least the Bears, like, I honestly feel bad for like completely just crapping all over the Bears franchise for taking Trubisky, but I just felt like it was too early for that. I feel like they sort of got him at number 3 because here's the thing. The 49ers are going to go with Solomon Thomas the whole time.
Yep.
So the 49ers just robbed the city of Chicago, and that's the reason why I made fun of it. I didn't think it was stupid. I just made fun of it because you knew the 49ers were going Solomon Thomas the whole time because John Lynch is a defensive man.
They were just worried about another team jumping up and trading into that spot.
Well, they would have had Deshaun Watson, even if
you're right.
You were going to get guaranteed a quarterback. You didn't need to trade all those picks.
Yeah, that was stupid.
All right, pick number 4. We had the Cleveland Browns coming back because now this is the Texans' first-round pick, but the Texans wanted Deshaun Watson. The Browns just said, yeah, we'll just take a quarterback in round 2 this year and round 1 the next.
They'll go Barkley if he's on the board. If not, they'll trade down or take Chubb.
All right, so this is the second team that you thought is going to trade down so far, at least possible. Although the way I feel about this one, I think you might want to go Minkah Fitzpatrick here, though, if it's too early or not. But here's something that I don't think anybody's focused on. But I really touched down on this on my draft board series. Offensive lineman, Quentin Nelson. That's possible.
Yeah.
Because they do have to find a replacement for Joe Thomas, who really deserved better, you got to admit.
He did. The problem is Thomas is a tackle, Nelson is a guard. 2 completely different positions.
That's a good point, but I was just thinking that because of your improved, like you said, 200, they improved by 200 rushing yards with Quentin Nelson. That's kind of what got me thinking because, I'm the fantasy player, it spun my gears a little bit.
Well, they also need a competent running back.
Despite having Duke Johnson, but signing Carlos Hyde in free agency, I do think they might end up taking the running back in round 2 with pick number 33.
They very well could, especially if Geis is still there.
Yeah, Geis, though, I think Geis was the number 1 running back behind Barkley for a while, but for me, I think it turned out to be Sony that's number 2.
Yeah, they're neck and neck.
I think Sony, though, has the most potential.
He's versatile, and he can be lined up at the slot as a receiver.
Like Alvin Kamara.
Yeah, that's the comparison for him.
So I'm thinking my final theory on this. Like you said, Barkley, if he's still on the board, which I don't think Barkley will be on the board. I think the Giants might want to take advantage of something like that.
Yeah.
Because if you have someone like Saquon Barkley, it takes the pressure off Eli Manning, considering he does have 2 more years left. And I
Yeah.
think it's pointless to draft a quarterback with your second overall pick. It doesn't matter to me if you have this number 2 overall pick. I think you're the number 1 overall pick. If you're going to spend it on somebody that's not going to play for or even start for 2 seasons, what's the point of that by giving them the money guaranteed in your signing bonus? He's not even going to see the field.
Plus, that's missing out on a future Hall of Fame player too.
Oh yeah, but I know, but like football is less like a business and stuff, and it's basically strategy and building. I know it's about the future. I know the 76ers have to trust the process.
Yeah.
But how would you trust the process if you're not even giving that process even a chance to see the field? And tell me they're probably down by 30 in week 4.
Yep. They're in a tricky situation.
Although before we get to number 5, one last thing though. I think the Browns could also go Bradley Chubb because best player available could end up being Bradley Chubb in this scenario.
Yep.
And just imagine a Bradley Chubb and Myles Garrett pairing.
Rip offensive tackles.
And then we realize it's still Cleveland and they go 0-16 again.
Yep.
But don't worry, the defense for fantasy gets you 8 sacks a game.
True.
Yeah, I just imagine that pairing. I almost want to pull out my Cleveland Browns shirt because because I kind of got one after they drafted Johnny Manziel.
Rip.
Yeah. All right, pick number 5. We have. See, I kind of forgot that one at the top of my head. I kind of went on for a little too long. Oh yeah, the Denver Broncos.
Yep.
Now this one, possible trade down, or they're going to go Quentin Nelson here. Although I'm not so, even though the Broncos signed Case Keenum in free agency, they could end up taking a quarterback here. Maybe Baker Mayfield if he's the best quarterback left, or even Josh Allen. Although I feel like it's too early for Josh Allen, though. I think they might want to roll with Keenum if they are stuck with choosing Josh Allen or like Quentin Nelson or trading down. Despite me not being sold on Case Keenum, and here's why I'm not. Case Keenum may have had a good season last year.
Yeah.
But he had the Vikings defense to benefit him.
Yeah.
Even though the Vikings defense wasn't strong at the beginning of the year, the further the season went, the better it got until that NFC Championship game, of course.
That's true. I think that Keenum didn't do anything wrong.
Right, and even Pat Shurmur even said himself that Case Keenum just played the whole season with just a lucky horseshoe.
Very lucky horseshoe. Just ask the Saints.
Yeah, and that Vikings defense.
Yeah.
And here's the thing, though. I honestly want to see Kirk Cousins go 14-2 with the Vikings just because it proves my point.
Yeah.
That like would. If you gave Case Keenum the Legion of Boom, I think you would have won the Super Bowl easily. And I'm talking Legion of Boom in 2013 when they won the Super Bowl, 43-8.
Yeah.
I'm talking that Legion of Boom, not the one from 2016, not the one from last year.
The Legion of trade everyone away and rebuild is what this year was.
And we'll get to that. We'll get to Seattle because I got a bunch to say about Seattle. I always want to move fast just so I can get there. Number 6. Now, this is the team that I think is trading down, the Indianapolis Colts, because we know what the Colts need. Not only are they going to probably need a quarterback if Andrew Luck isn't playing, because I think he's still not even throwing the football.
They're going to go Quentin Nelson if he's there, because they need help for Andrew Luck, or Bradley Chubb if he's still there. If both are gone, they'll go best player available.
Well, who would the best player available be? Minkah Fitzpatrick at this point?
Yeah, probably.
Because I think I had them going Minkah Fitzpatrick in my final mock draft, which I'm going to release at some point. I mean, it's the one where I'm doing 2 rounds, and I'm toward the end of that second round, but it's just kind of hard to do a little bit.
Yeah.
Because I never really do that. I usually just do round 1, but I think like I'm giving like small things here. But I think I did have him going Minkah Fitzpatrick number 6. Although I could see him trading down though. Because I do understand the Colts did draft Malik Hooker just last year. But the
But
Colts secondary is just not that great at all. In fact, I think there was a point last year where the Colts had the worst pass defense in the league.
yeah, it was brutal. Their entire defense was useless.
And it was actually after Malik Hooker had the season-ending injury. So
Yeah.
they could go Minkah Fitzpatrick to kind of pair him up with Malik Hooker, or they trade down. Because the Colts do have some extra things to play with right now because they got 2 of those picks from the Jets for them to trade up. So they might try to play around a little bit, maybe try to utilize maybe those 2 second-rounders, try to get back into the first. Because, someone like Bill Belichick might take the bait.
I can see that.
See, I just enjoy when people see things. They make it look like I'm not some crazy lunatic that just thinks about every single thing.
The Colts need talent.
Exactly. I mean, that's exactly why Josh McDaniels just completely turned on him after 2 hours.
Yeah.
Well, let's just be real, though. Josh McDaniels is just the heir to the throne of Bill Belichick because he's gone in 2 years.
Yep. Belichick's out the door in 2 years. 3 if they win another title, but 2 if it falls apart.
And we'll get to New England a little bit because I think this is the draft where I'm most interested in New England because normally New England's not even a part of the draft till round 2 or 3. And this is going to be exciting because they have 2 first-rounders this year.
Yep.
All right, so our final thing from the Colts is you were saying best player available, Quentin Nelson, Bradley Chubb if they're still there. And I'm thinking Minkah Fitzpatrick or trade down.
7. Who's 7?
Tampa Bay is.
Tampa.
Now, there's a little complicated because they do need some things as well.
Tampa.
Maybe Derwin James.
Yeah.
Or is it too early for someone like him?
No, Tampa's the type of team to go overdraft.
Yeah. Weren't they that one team that took that one kicker that one year?
Yeah.
Figures.
League.
Well, hey, the Raiders drafted Janikowski in the first round.
That worked out well, but it rarely does.
You never know. They might go Eddie Pinheiro at number 7.
I hope they do.
You never know with the Buccaneers.
Calvin Ridley, because they need a wide receiver. However,
they compliment Mike Evans and
yeah, they need a number 2 wide receiver. It's just Evans.
Yeah, well, Adam Humphries did kind of solid in the slot for a couple of weeks.
Not for fantasy. He didn't get me a lot.
So that is an interesting one. I think you're the first one that I've seen have Tampa Bay go wide receiver number 7. Because there's a lot of experts saying, oh, it's too early to go wide receivers. They're not going to change your franchise.
Well, it is too early to go wide receiver. However, Tampa's the type of team to say, screw it, let's draft him.
You know what? If they do it, if they actually do it, you deserve to eat just because you're the only one I've seen make this point.
They trade down to do that, but they need a wide receiver.
Okay, I was going to say number 7, yeah. Although the Chargers took a wide receiver number 7 in an overdraft.
Yeah.
Didn't even see the field last year.
They did. He got hurt.
See, you're taking notes, everybody. He thinks the Giants could trade down. He thinks the Broncos could trade down. And he thinks Tampa Bay's going to overdraft and go Calvin Ridley.
I think that there's just one team trying to claw their way up. And one of the teams from the top will drop down, at least.
All right, we got number 8 now.
Yep.
Or do you want to tell what team it is? Or do you want to say it when we get there?
Say it when I get there.
Okay. At number 8, we have the Chicago Bears. And this Bears team honestly does impress me a lot. they're the NFC's version of the Jets last year. Could have won more games, but they let some games slip away at the end.
Yeah.
Especially week one. They could have won week one. They could have beaten the Saints, I think it was. They could have
Oh,
beaten the Vikings on Monday Night Football. They let about 3 or 4 games slip away from them.
it was mainly an experience. They were young.
And plus they had John Fox. So
He was terrible.
I think if John Fox is actually the coach that he was in Denver, I think the Bears would have probably made the playoffs. Although on the other hand, he did have Peyton Manning as his quarterback at that time.
Yeah. And a defense that was just elite.
And that Broncos defense is not elite now. That's why I'm not sold on Case Keenum. I don't see why people are sold on Case Keenum.
Because he's a hero in Minnesota.
Right, because he had a defense in Minnesota and he had decent wide receivers, young and vibrant receivers, Stephon Diggs and Adam Thielen. And the receivers in Denver are getting older, Emmanuel Sanders and Demaryius Thomas.
They're still capable. They're not terrible. Like they can.
Well, they're not terrible, but they're not like elite wide receivers.
Yeah.
Peyton Manning made them elite.
They're average.
They're average without a quarterback like Peyton Manning.
Yeah.
So what do we think for the Bears?
Best player available.
Which I think could end up being Denzel Ward, or it could end up being Calvin Ridley, despite them signing Allen Robinson in free agency.
They did lose Cameron Meredith, so they need a wide receiver to replace him.
And Kevin White has been a bust.
Yeah, he has.
Has he even played?
No.
Exactly. So I think that was a pretty quick one because I think we narrowed it down to best player available, and it's either going to be Denzel Ward or it's going to be Calvin Ridley. So I think we kind of established that one pretty well.
Yes.
Okay, number 9, we have the San Francisco 49ers, and this one is exciting. I think it's coming down to 2 guys, but it's the same position. Tremaine Edmonds out of Virginia Tech or Roquan Smith out of Georgia. And I know you enjoy Roquan Smith.
He is a great player.
And it's obvious why they're going linebacker.
They need one.
Because Reuben Foster can't stay out of trouble.
He's a troubled young man.
And he went to Alabama. That's why people... I mean, I feel ashamed. I thought Reuben Foster was going to be a steal in the draft. I mean, he would have, but he just can't stay out of trouble.
Yep.
What has it been? Like 3 arrests and like, what was it? 3 arrests in like 14 months or something?
Yeah. In a year and a half. They'll go draft Edmonds, which is the wrong choice.
Is this bias or is this like your real like thing? Because I didn't know you have a heart for Roquan Smith because you're a Bulldog.
They'll make the wrong decision and go with Edmonds.
Because I think both of them are just fine, but I think Roquan Smith has the best potential probably because he's played in tough competition than Edmonds has.
Yep.
Right, so we've got that established. I think that was an easy one as well. We've narrowed the 49ers down to a linebacker, Edmonds or Smith. You think they're going to go Edmonds and it's the wrong choice.
Yep, and then the Raiders at 10 are going to pick whoever's left out of those 2.
All right, I think that was perfect. I think it's just been perfect 3 picks in a row because it got kind of obvious, but based on what's going to happen.
Yeah.
So it didn't matter on the coin flip. It was just your pick of 2 linebackers.
Yep. They're both getting a linebacker.
And are you sure that the Raiders won't take Bradley Chubb if he's still there?
He won't be there.
Never know.
No way he'll be there. No way he'll be there.
What's going to happen if he's going to still be there?
They'll take him, but he won't.
All right. Because you never know. There's always that one prospect that seems to, slip down the board a little bit.
Laramie Tunsil with his bong.
Well, not just Laramie Tunsil with the bomb. Aaron Rodgers fell that far. You know.
Yeah, but the most recent was Tunsil, and that was because of a bong.
Well, Jabril Peppers fell down pretty far last year.
He did. He did, but he was still taken relatively reasonable.
Yeah, because I think I had Peppers last year around my top 15 or top 20, so it's pretty decent.
Yeah. 11.
Miami Dolphins. And are they going to actually do the move that could be unthinkable, but some people are predicting it at this point? And they trade up for one of the quarterbacks.
Yeah, they could.
Okay, what was it? Like some adult film star thought that the Dolphins are going to take Baker Mayfield, or is that just one of those like Twitter spam stories?
Twitter spam story.
Okay. Because I've seen it like a couple times throughout the feed, and I'm like, is this like a real thing, or is this like just something that people want to like, I don't know, are looking for retweets?
I don't think a porn star talking about NFL athletes is a viable source.
Oh, speaking of that though, the offensive line coach actually he sent that thing to a Miami stripper actually, which is not anything less.
The Dolphins will draft. They'll go with. They'll mess it up. They'll find a way to mess this up.
I've seen some mock drafts. They go Vita. I think the Falcons want Vita.
Yeah, but Vita's going to go too high. I saw one that was a trade down where the Broncos trade down to 11 to get Vita Vea, and the Dolphins trade up to 5 to get a quarterback.
You know what? That actually could happen. Now that my mind is thinking more, I could see why they think that. Because the Broncos defense needs to rebuild.
Yep.
Because Von Miller can't do it on his own. Because really, who all do we know that's left from that Super Bowl defense is still there other than Von Miller?
Vaughn is where there?
Isn't Von like an outside linebacker or something?
Yeah. Calvin Harris or Chris Harris Jr.
Yeah, those are probably like the only two that you really know.
Yeah.
So that could be something though.
Yep.
I haven't really thought about who Miami would draft. I thought maybe they could go Roquan Smith if he's still there, but here's something I'm thinking. Marcus Davenport out of University of Texas San Antonio. Although Vita Vea would make sense, they got to replace Ndamukong Suh, who they lost in free agency.
Yeah, they do.
And if they did Davenport, they have Cameron Wake is getting older.
Uh-huh. I can see
I think that one's a pretty established. I think actually somebody just commented in the live chat, Alex Gonzalez. He said Vita Vea should and could go as low as 10.
Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah, I could also see that as well. I just think Vita Vea is I think he's the top defensive guy that teams are going to be looking at.
Yeah, he's the top DT.
Unfortunately, he's going to be unfortunately, he won't fall to 26, although one can only hope.
Yep.
All right, moving on to number 12. Number 12 is, I think it's the. I really should have memorized this.
Bills.
Oh, yes, that's right, because they went from 21 to 12.
Yep, and they're going up higher.
All right, they're trading up, he says.
For a quarterback. Best available.
I have seen some mock drafts. I've seen some theory videos. I've seen some scenarios where the Giants and Bills make a trade here.
Yeah.
I think I saw one where the Giants gave up pick number 2, and I think it was, I don't remember what it was anymore, but I
Two.
know it was the Giants trade pick number 2, and the Bills gave them back one of those 2 plays. It was before they traded up with the Bengals.
Yeah.
But now that in an updated version, it could be the Bills trade the Giants pick number 12 and LaShawn McCoy for that number 2 pick.
That could be put. I can see that.
Because you know the Giants do need a running back.
Yeah, but McCoy's like a 2-year solution. He's old.
So which quarterback do you think they're going with?
Best available.
Do they try trading up though, or do they try to rely on Josh Allen or Baker Mayfield still being there at 12?
Well, it depends on if they don't trade up, they'll take Allen.
Because I really do think Allen is still going to be there number 12.
He will,
Maybe even both of them might still be there.
unless like a swarm of teams trade up.
Yeah, unless we see the Patriots do something crazy like trade from 23 to 2 and take Sam Darnold.
Yep. 13. Who's 13?
13 is the Redskins.
They need a head coach.
Yes. But unfortunately, you know what? We can talk about this now. They need a head coach, and you would really look for that next year.
Yeah.
Here's one guy I think is going to be a candidate who really should have been a candidate for the last couple of years, but surprisingly is not. David Shaw from Stanford.
Yeah.
He should be a candidate for an NFL job.
He should.
I'm surprised he's even not even considered anymore, or like people have not considered him yet.
Well, that's because Stanford hasn't really been extremely successful.
Well, we did see Jim Harbaugh leave Stanford.
He did, but Shaw hasn't won as much.
Yeah, Shaw hasn't been successful, and plus, when you look at like football, you look at Stanford. Even though they're not really a team that necessarily wins championships, wins big games, but you see how successful Stanford is, and they're really consistent. You're always getting 9 or 10 wins out of Stanford every year.
I agree. For their actual player they draft, though, they might go wide receiver. They might go offensive line.
Yes, and offensive line will be Mike McGlinchey in this scenario. Am I correct?
Yep. They need a
Because
tackle.
I think Mike McGlinchey is really the only offensive tackle that's going to be we talked about within the top 15.
Yep.
And for the wide receiver, since in a way Calvin Ridley's been off the board in a couple of these things that we've been talking about, would it be Christian Kirk or Cortland Sutton, or like even DJ Moore is kind of a reach?
Sutton if Ridley's not there.
Because the wide receiver thing's confused me, because I do think this wide receiver class is deep. I think it's deeper than people are making it look like.
Yeah, it's not top heavy. There's not a lot of top tier guys.
Because I've even seen DJ Moore being talked about, maybe 19 to the Cowboys, which we're going to get to, or even 29 to Jacksonville, which we'll get to as well. We're going to get to all 32 of them. But I'm thinking, what if they do go Vita Vea, though? Because we know the Washington Redskins defense has been weak.
Yeah. They'll probably go with best available out of the positions needed.
Although now that you got me thinking about offensive tackle, the Redskins, I have now remembered, the Redskins have gone with, 21 different offensive lineman combinations last year? It was the most in the league.
Yeah.
And poor Bill Callahan. Hey, Nebraska fans, Bill Callahan is still coaching.
So they'll go line.
Mike McGlinchey.
14. Who's picking 14?
The Green Bay Packers. And let me tell you, this is very rare that we see Green Bay this high. I think this is the first time they've been this high in the Aaron Rodgers era, even Brett Favre era.
Quite possibly.
So we know they do need a corner. I think this one's established. Although it may not be to some people, but I think it is to me. I
Yeah,
think they're
they've
gonna have a cornerback here. I think they're going Josh Jackson here.
from Iowa.
Yes. I
Yep,
think they're
that's
going him. If not, they're gonna go with someone like Marcus Davenport then. I think it's either Josh Jackson or Marcus Davenport here at 14.
yeah.
Because we know that the Packers defense puts pressure on Aaron Rodgers to put up 35 a game. Because pretty soon he's not going to be able to put up 35 points a game.
They need to build up their defense.
And I also want to address this real quick while we're on Green Bay. I think round 2, they're going wide receiver because they
Yeah.
need to find a Jordy Nelson replacement.
They lost Nelson. Yep, I see it.
And I think it's going to be Anthony Miller out of Memphis.
Quite possibly. 15?
15 is. Yeah, I wish I would have remembered these things.
Green Bay.
Alex Gonzalez was in the live chat again. He thinks they picked Derwin James if he's still there. But in the scenarios that we've done, Derwin James is already taken to Tampa Bay, possibly.
Yeah, but if he's still there, they'll go best available and get him.
Yeah, because there's no way Derwin James is going to fall past the top 20.
Yeah.
If he goes past the top 20, something's wrong.
He must have had a bog.
Hey, never say never, though.
Yeah. 15 is at the
Oh, thanks, Alex. It's the Cardinals. I
Cardinals.
forgot that. I mean,
Quarterback, if there's one left.
you don't think they're going to do Lamar Jackson by force?
He's not good.
Stop it.
They could go him and just
You
give
just don't want to admit he's the next Michael Vick, don't you? You just don't want to admit it.
He could be Michael Vick, or he could bust.
I think Lamar Jackson is going to turn out better than Josh Allen.
I think, yeah. I'm just so low on Josh Allen that a potato could do better than him.
Or me.
Yeah. Yeah, you could. Josh Allen has never had a season where he completed over 60% of his passes.
And think of the conference he played in. Think of the big competition he really played. Nebraska, Iowa, and Oregon. He turned the ball over, I think it was at least 4 times in each of those games. I know it was at least 6 turnovers against Nebraska, I think. And I think he threw 3 or 4 picks against Oregon.
Yeah, he's a turnover machine, inaccurate, but he has a strong arm, so scouts are just like, oh, he's good.
Yeah, so I think Lamar Jackson definitely will be better than Josh Allen. I will say that right now.
I'll agree with that.
I think Lamar Jackson can improve the accuracy. I think he can win a Super Bowl before Josh Allen, before Sam Darnold, before Baker Mayfield. I don't know about Josh Rosen, though, because,
Rosen's pretty good.
Yeah, I think Lamar Jackson is probably the second or third best quarterback in this draft, to be honest with you.
I say 3 or 4.
All right. 16 is the Baltimore Ravens.
Wide receiver, if there's one left. If not, defense.
Yeah, I'm pretty glad we established the Arizona one pretty easily. Because the Ravens, this one is a little bit complicated. Because we know that Ozzie Newsome loves Alabama prospects.
Yeah.
And why does he? Because he assumes they're going to be day one starters because they're from Alabama, who were NFL type defenses because Nick Saban used to coach in the NFL and it didn't work out.
Yeah.
This is why.
Uh,
This is probably exactly why people are high on Alabama prospects.
yeah. I think maybe Deron or Payne, defensive tackle from Alabama, is
Although
possible.
kind of seem like it does seem like a reach almost to go with him that high. But I think it's kind of reasonable considering we know that Ozzie Newsome does love those Alabama prospects.
Yeah,
And if you think of Deron Payne, he single-handedly changed that Sugar Bowl on New Year's Day
he did.
with that long interception return and that touchdown.
Yeah, he won the MVP of that game.
So he has demonstrated that he is a game changer.
He did.
And that's what some teams do like.
Clutch. Yes.
Okay, number 17, we have got the Los Angeles Chargers. And I think this one excites me a lot because I think the Chargers are a team that's on the rise, kind of like the 49ers are.
Who do they pick?
Who do they pick? Well, I would think offensive line, but that could be too early considering that people don't really do much with offensive line. Although I think offensive line could be useful. Maybe Orlando Brown out of Oklahoma.
Yeah, I think they'll go best best edge rusher available.
Best edge rusher available. So that could end up being Marcus Davenport, depending on.
Yeah.
So that could be something to keep an eye out on. Either offensive lineman, probably Orlando Brown, or Marcus Davenport.
Yep.
Because I think I've had the Chargers go offensive line the whole time, except for maybe one of them, like
They could
Roquan Smith.
line.
I
Depends on
think I don't know if you saw it, but I think some guy commented that if they drafted Roquan Smith, he'd streak around his street or something.
that'd be a steal.
Coming from a Georgia fan and a very analytical person.
Yeah, Roquan's the real deal.
Yeah, if Roquan falls 17, I think something's wrong.
Yep. 18. Who
18
is
of the
or
Seattle
who's a
Seahawks. And I've mentioned that I'm looking forward to this one. In fact, I'm looking for the next one as well. The Seattle
who?
Seahawks. Oh, these Seattle Seahawks. They have a bunch of things that they're missing out on. A cornerback.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, the top three ones that we've talked about, or that have been talked about
Oh,
all throughout this process, Ward, Jackson, and Fitzpatrick, are all off the board. And you also lost your top two tight ends in free agency. And you've been having a running game by committee since the departure or the short-term retirement of Marshawn Lynch.
yep.
So honestly, what do the Seahawks do here? Because I think the Seahawks are going downhill right now.
They
They need
are.
to make moves happen in this offseason, or else they're just going to be the new Los Angeles Rams.
Yep.
Or should I say the St. Louis Rams?
So, who do the sad Seattle Seahawks take?
Well, this might be a reach depending on how you look at it. But because the top three corners have been taken already, Jaire Alexander, cornerback out of Louisville.
Maybe. I see them actually trading down
For an offensive lineman or.
with the Falcons.
Oh, the second year in a row we're doing that.
Yep. I think they'll swap with the Falcons and they'll take if they don't swap, they'll take Isaiah Wynn. They drop down to 26 if they trade with the Falcons. And if Isaiah Wynn's still there, they'll take him. If not, they'll take best corner
You know
or
what? I wish I had paper still so I can write down what you're saying. But I'll just go back and listen to parts of it. Because I think we've been doing this thing for
an hour.
about 50 minutes, and we're at least halfway there.
Yeah.
At least it's further paced than I was thinking of. So we both have interesting thoughts on that. You think they're trading down with the Falcons for the second year in a row.
Yep.
And I'm thinking Jareer Alexander, cornerback out of Louisville, because the top three corners that we've talked about are already off the board.
Yeah.
It's really somewhat too early for offensive linemen, and it's too early for tight ends.
Yeah.
But Seattle might go tight end
They
in round
could.
2 or 3.
They could. Who's 19? Is
The,
that Dallas
the
or
Dallas Cowboys, and let me tell you, I was looking forward to this one as well. I think this one's established. I think they might either go linebacker, probably, maybe Leighton Vander Esch, even though I've seen there was this fan mock draft that was, it's like on the fantasy football advice account that I'm on. I guess like in that fan mock draft, they had him going Leighton Vander Esch. I think it's too early for someone like him, but now that I could see it possibly, it could end up happening.
I think Dallas has to go wide receiver.
And that was my main thing, because that's the reason why I laughed at everybody in that fan mock draft by saying they aren't going Leighton Vander Esch. Although Leighton Vander Esch, the linebacker to Boise State, for those of you that don't know, I think his draft stock has improved the further along this draft process has went.
It has.
But in actuality, the Dallas Cowboys go wide receiver, despite signing Allen Hurns in free agency. Really, it's Allen Hurns that you signed. It's not like you're going to get the Dez Bryant 2.0 out of him.
Exactly.
And that's why you're going Christian Kirk, wide receiver out of Texas A&M.
They could, or Sutton if he's there.
It's established already.
Depends on who all's still there. Kirk could be off the board.
I don't know though. Kirk, I don't know if he might be off the board or not. It depends on what the Ravens really do at number 16.
Yeah, I agree.
I think if Kirk is not taken at 16 or 13, I think he's going to be there at 19.
Yeah, I agree.
So really, you're going by threes after number 13. He's either going to be going 13, 16, or 19.
Yep.
If you place bets on it, you have a 1 in 3 shot.
I think, yeah, I agree.
Or 22 to the Bills, but just don't say nothing though.
20 is who's 20?
20 is the Detroit Lions. This is the last of the non-playoff teams.
They'll go for offensive line, maybe, or running back. They could take a running back.
And which running back are you thinking? Darius Geis or Sony Michel? But
Geis.
Because I think the Lions were interested in Geis after the combine, I believe it was.
They are. They held a workout with him.
And I know that Matt Patricia is a defensive guy.
He is.
Let's just face it, though. The last time the Lions had a runner or had a running back that had a 100-yard rushing yard game, I probably was an infant at fantasy football.
Yeah. They don't run well.
It just establishes that how much they need the running back. So at least I'm glad we got that one kind of established.
Yep.
It's not necessarily established, but we've established the smart thing to do.
Agreed. 21.
Really quickly, though, let me add, though, because I know Alex wants us to get to his Bengals. This would also have protection for Matthew Stafford. It would tear the load off of him.
It would.
So depending on whatever they do, whether you said offensive line or the running back, it protects Matthew Stafford. It takes the burden off of him.
It takes weight off his shoulders.
Because you know that he needs the weight off his shoulders after the ridiculous contract they gave him in the offseason last year.
Go Dogs.
All right, 21. Let's get to the Bengals here because we know Alex wants us to get to his Bengals. I think it's established, though. I'm thinking offensive line because they should have gone offensive line last year, in my opinion, in the first round.
Yeah, that last year was brutal for them. The dude they drafted didn't play.
Well, last year was an awful year for the Bengals. In fact, it's been an awful year for the Bengals.
Yeah. I think the right thing for them to do is if Isaiah Wynn is still there, draft Isaiah Wynn.
Yeah, because Isaiah Wynn, I think he's improved his draft stock.
Yeah. If he's not there, go with who. The Bengals are suffering from what the Colts are suffering from, but to a lesser extent, and that's lack of general talent. So, that with the exception of AJ Green, take the most talented player available with the most upside. They need another superstar to get their mediocre team to the next level.
That is a good point there. Because AJ Green is the only star for the Bengals. Although I would give Joe Mixon about another season or two.
You think?
I think so. Because Joe Mixon did get more reps as the season went along. Because let's just be real, the Bengals had like 3 or 4 different running backs last year that they used.
Giovanni, Hill.
I think Hill, though, had a seasoning injury in week 1 or 2, was it? And that's why Mixon was the.
Yeah. It was. There were too many running backs.
All right. I do want to get to Alex here. He says Wynn, McGlinchey, or Hernandez he'll be happy with. A dressed linebacker and a center in day 2.
They need to address linebacker, definitely. The Vontaze Burfict, whatever he is, that goon is such a liability. You have to have a backup ready to go.
Okay, let me address this, though, real quick, if you don't mind. Like, I don't think he would mind at all. But he did not laugh at that comment. He's just a little bit, what would I say, like allergies in a way?
Yeah. I have awful allergies right now.
That's just a part of the new season because, spring's not even here yet, really.
I've been blowing my nose into this towel the entire time, if you guys have been catching it.
And we appreciate being so dedicated here because you've been really great for, in a way, this franchise here on Johnny Talk Sports. You're one of the rare people that comments on every single thing. So I do appreciate that. So I think it's established the Bengals do go offensive lineman at pick 21.
The Bengals, yeah, they need to go with the offensive lineman if there's a good one left. If not, they need to go with the best player available.
I do like how Alex was thinking about Hernandez. Because people don't talk about Will Hernandez because he went to Utah. And, a lot of scouts and a lot of experts are so against people that go to Group of 5 schools.
I understand why, but I also don't. Because there's a lot of them that are drafted in the later rounds that turn out to be great.
Antonio Brown.
Yeah. And then there's some that are drafted up high that aren't great. So it's like hit or miss.
Yes, but I think Hernandez might be a bit of a reach here at 21. But it'd be reasonable considering that Wynn could be taking number 18 like you established, or even possibly pick number 20 like you established as well.
Yeah.
So in a way, that's not a reach.
A win.
But it could be a reach depending on how you look at things.
I would like to see the Bengals get Wynn just so we can have multiple Bulldogs on the same team.
All right. Pick number 22, the Buffalo Bills. They've already gotten their quarterback, and I think I'll let you go first here.
Depends on what they do. This pick could not be theirs. It could belong to possibly like the Colts or someone like that. So this pick's sort of tricky. It depends on what the Bills do.
I'm thinking here, though, you've already found your quarterback. And the next best thing to do is to get you a weapon. Kind of a reach by how you look at it. I think they go wide receiver here. Depending on which one's still there. We don't know if Courtland Sutton's going to be there at 22. DJ Moore could be a reach by how you look at things.
DJ Moore is sort of a fringe first-round guy. I could see him going towards the end of the first round.
Maybe Jacksonville at 29. When we'll get there, though.
They'll go. They'll go. They could go tight end. I'm not high on Charles Clay.
All right. So that's one of the things that it's brand new to me because I think it's too early to go with a tight end here. I know in mock drafts in the past, I've had Seattle go tight end at number 18. I think I had the Saints go tight end at some point in the mock draft. I think I had Jacksonville go tight end at some point.
Yeah, this is a good tight end class.
Yeah, I think the wide receiver class and the tight end class is better than what really the experts want us to believe that they are.
I could see that, especially the tight end class. I think you got three guys that are good.
Yeah, I think Mark Andrews is good, who was Baker Mayfield's security blanket. I think Troy Fumagalli out of Wisconsin, he's pretty solid. I think he'll be a steal wherever he goes. I think Steelers round 2 or 3.
I'm high on Hurst from South, or not whatever the dude's last name is from
Yeah,
South
Hayden
Carolina.
Hurst.
From South Carolina, he'll
Yeah, I
be.
think you were really high on him. I think you had him at 24 on your top 50, I think.
That's a little too high, but I'm still high on him. He's first round talent.
Yeah, I know it was around I think it was around in the 20s, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Hurst might sneak into the first round if teams feel like it's not too early to go tight end.
Yeah. Who? Well, is it? Are we on 23 now, or
23, the New England Patriots with their first round pick. Now, this was, I believe, that was the pick that they gave them for Brandon Cooks or whatnot.
Yep. It's that pick, yeah.
So the Patriots have so many different things they can do here because we know the Patriots' needs. We know that the Patriots are probably going to go to the AFC Championship game next year. We know that's a lock.
It is.
Now that I say that, this whole thing just fumbles apart.
Brady Terry.
Yes. Yeah, now that I say that.
Jinx.
Yeah, I don't ever want to really jinx things.
The Patriots could go wide receiver if there's a decent one left. If not, they could trade up.
Wouldn't that be something? The Patriots trade up.
Yep.
Because we know the draft picks don't really mean much to the Patriots organization.
You're right.
They do their business. They do their business in March, and that's it.
They do their business year round.
Yes, they're probably doing it as we're talking.
Yep. Bringing in some guy to play at a minimum salary, then he's starting at the Super Bowl.
Yeah, and he gets to eat.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he ends up being an eater.
Well, or he gets benched like Malcolm Butler for no good reason.
Yeah, never really shown what that thing was. But unfortunately, the Patriots get screwed here, I think. Because I have had the Patriots going corner, and I think every single mock draft ever since that 1.0 thing, that whole draft board series.
Yeah.
I think they're screwed now because really the top 3 corners we talked about are gone. Alexander out of Louisville's gone, who I've had them targeting for a while.
Alexander's gone too.
Yes. So I think maybe the Patriots, they trade this pick to try to maybe get an extra second rounder or something.
Yeah.
I think someone like the Texans could take the bait on this one here. Even though they don't pick till pick number 80. It could be a thing like a 2019 second rounder.
I can hear it.
And I was going to say earlier that Texans fans and Chiefs fans are spared from this, but not necessarily.
Yeah. I think the Patriots are sort of in a tough spot because everyone they need will be gone.
Oh, it looks like whatever to watch is commented in the live chat. The Patriots should draft Malcolm Parrish.
No.
I'm going to assume that he's like Probably from Georgia, probably.
I'm from Georgia. Parrish is not good. Well,
Oh,
he's
so
good.
that's a Georgia thing.
The Georgia secondary cost us a championship.
No, it was like 3 rigged calls.
Yeah, and then a Fromm interception and a bunch of stuff. A terrible defensive play call in general. Uh, it was rough. Who's 24?
24 is okay. I got to think about this one because I don't memorize this stuff really. Oh yeah, it's the Panthers, who we despise completely. I wonder why I forgot.
They'll draft a kicker.
All right, they're going Eddie Pinheiro. Established. No, kidding.
No, they're going Austin Johnson from Creekview High School, kicker/punter.
No, they're probably going to go Isaiah Wynn if he's still there, unfortunately for you, though.
He won't be there, but yeah, if he's still there, they'll take him. Or Hernandez if Wynn's not there.
Yeah, because the Panthers, they are about 3 things away from getting back to that promised land.
Till Cam breaks his ribs.
Okay, come on. I know that you don't
Go.
like the Panthers, but you just got to be respectful, though, dude.
No. Cam is bad.
What would Cam ever do to you?
He stole computers in the SEC and got to play because Auburn does not discipline their players effectively. They take the criminals from all other SEC teams and lump them on their team.
And I think didn't his dad also pay him 180,000 for him to be the starter or something like that?
Yep.
Or is that something else?
No, that happened, but it's not that big of a deal. The stealing computers thing was the problem.
All right, so here's what I think could happen for the Panthers, and it's really unfortunate for you and whatever to watch. Either Isaiah Wynn or Sonny Michel, running back out of Georgia. Because remember, the Panthers did cut Jonathan Stewart in the offseason. And just imagine that. Because think about it. It's a 2 running back tandem.
It is.
In the NFC South. With the Falcons, you've got Freeman and Coleman. With the Saints, you got Ingram and Kamara. And potentially now, you could have McCaffrey and Michel.
I think they could take a running back, but Michel and McCaffrey have similar play styles, so they need to go for a power back.
That would be something, though. But could this potentially be the mentality of we just got to win the division to get to the playoffs, and we got to compete like our opponents in the division?
Yeah, the division's a bloodbath.
Exactly, because I think Tampa Bay could get back there. Like they could get back on the rise. I think they just need a better coach, though. I think Dirk Cutter is not cutting it for him.
Pun intended.
Well, necessarily and not necessarily.
He needs to go. He's bad. Or they could keep him, and the Falcons could get free wins every year.
All right. Speaking of that, well, not yet though. 25, the Tennessee Titans.
They addressed their need at corner with Butler, so
But remember, Malcolm Butler's overrated though. He just had one good play, and everyone treats him like he's an elite corner.
He is an elite corner. He's just not premier. He's definitely well above average.
Like he's not a prime Richard Sherman or a prime Deion Sanders.
He's not that good, but he's like low-level all-star good.
So I think for the Titans, though, I think they're complicated because really, we know the Titans are a team that's on the rise. They made the playoffs last year. And you've got a quarterback of the future, Marcus Mariota. You've got your running back set in Derrick Henry.
Yep.
They did cut DeMarco Murray in the offseason. You went wide receiver last year. I'm thinking maybe offensive line here. Maybe Billy Price, the center of Ohio State.
Ooh, that'd work. That would work.
Because I think the Titans just need to improve that offensive line a little bit, and they could be maybe a 10-win team.
I'm with you there. They could use a center. They could use that.
I've seen lots of mock drafts that have him going Billy Price. And I honestly do see why.
If the experts say it's so, it must be true.
Although you really don't know where the experts are coming from. They're coming from NFL Network or Reddit.
Reddit is my preferred source.
I love Reddit.
4chan and Reddit. Real news.
Never heard of 4chan before, but I do enjoy Reddit, though. I think I have over like 2,000 karma on there. But I deserve more.
All right, so next is the big one.
26.
Go Falcons. There is a right answer.
And there's the Sark answer.
Fire Sark. They either trade up with the Seahawks to draft the best defensive tackle there, or they drop, or there they stay, and they draft Mo Hurst.
Well, Mo Hurst was, if you don't mind, though. Mo Hurst is somebody that's a first-round talent, and they had some concerns about him after the combine. But I think he's cleared now, am I correct?
Yes.
That's ideal because we know what the Falcons do need. We know Dan Quinn is a defensive mind, coming from the Seahawks back with the Legion of Boom.
Defensive tackle is a top priority. They'll take best DT left.
You don't think they're going to trade up to number 12 for Vita Vea or 11 for Vita Vea? Or
give up a lot for that.
You know I want Vita.
I do. I need a Vita.
And why do I want Vita?
Because he is good.
Because he's an eater.
He can gobble up that run.
Exactly. Even though Vita Vea didn't have a good bowl game, or Saquon Barkley ran over the Washington defense.
That was Saquon.
And plus, here's the thing, though. Out of the 42 bowl games there are, 39 of them don't matter.
Yeah. True.
They're just one more time to play for the rest of the year or one more time in your career.
And add money for the teams.
Yes. So out of those 42 bowl games that are played during that whole, I don't know what it is, 3 or 4 weeks, something like that, 39 of them don't matter.
They don't matter.
Although they do matter to some like UCF who wants to win a national championship.
If the Falcons could get Vita Vea, I'll take that. Assuming they don't give up a first round next year.
Well, it's going to be worth it if it turns out he's the defensive Carson Wentz.
He isn't. He's
Think
good.
about it. What if he gets 18 sacks next year? Think about it. Him and Vic Beasley.
It's worth it if he gets 18, but I think he'll get 8.
You know what? Screw it. Here's the point. I think Marcus Davenport's going to be there at 26. I think it's possible. And if he's there, I think he's the pick. Replacement for Claiborne, who should still be on this roster.
Yeah. I could see that. If all the DTs are taken, if all the good defensive tackles are taken, I could see that being made, but defensive tackle is a priority.
And we know Dan Quinn's a defensive guy, and he's hit it so far in the draft. Yeah. Although I am still upset with Neal.
Keanu was okay at best, but he did take Deion Jones in the second round.
Yes, because Dan Quinn has really hit it on defense so far. He's got the young defense. Does he add in one more?
He has. He's developed talent well.
So let's just name all the people that he's done. He's done Vic Beasley, who I call Big Bees. He's done Keanu Neal. He's done Tack.
McKinley.
Deion Jones.
Yep.
Collins, but he turned out to be a bum.
Campbell. What's the dude's name?
Duke Riley.
Defensive tackle. Not Poe, but the other one. Grady Jarrett.
Yes, I really loved that pick, actually, because remember, though, that was the same year that they took Beasley as well, and they're both Clemson guys. So that chemistry there, I think he nailed it right there.
He did. And the fifth chemistry. Steal.
All right. So I know this is our favorite one, but we got to finalize this now, unfortunately.
Yep.
So
They
for
go
your opinion, you think the pick is going to be either the trade up with Seattle,
or
or
best defensive tackle available.
which would be Mo Hurst at this point, even though he's
Yeah.
more of a defensive lineman.
You could stuff him in there.
Because on the mock draft sites he's labeled as a DL.
He could go DN, or he could go DT or D tackle. He'd be a DT. He could do it.
All right, so that's your finalized pick. My finalized pick, I think it could be around the same thing, but I think it might be Davenport if he's still there.
I could see that.
I would love Davenport though, because nobody's talking about him.
He's underrated.
At least nobody's talked about him to like an extent ever since January.
It would have been better if he had more prolific combine numbers.
Well, he did run a 4.54 or 40, didn't he?
Yes, but his bench was not elite. The strength
That
wasn't.
could be his downfall. Though. That could be why he's maybe slipping. Because I remember that he was potentially a top 10 pick before the combine.
Who's picking after the Falcons? Is that
The Aints.
they draft?
They draft Marcus Williams again.
Yeah, really. They draft. Actually, the NFL confiscates their pick because of the bounty scandal in 2009.
Okay, and well, that would be something that could happen. They'll draft Marcus Williams again.
They'll probably have to draft an offensive lineman or a wide receiver.
I've seen some people say that they might go quarterback here. They might go Lamar Jackson if he's still there for the successor of Drew Brees.
I could see them that in the second round, but not the first.
Right, they could go Mason Rudolph round 2, but
Yeah, or Drew Missouri, who no one's talking about.
They could go tight end here. We could see the first tight end fall off the board right here. Maybe Dallas Goedert, the tight end of South Dakota State.
I was just about to talk about him.
Because if you think about it, though, we know what the Saints have at receiver with Michael Thomas.
Yeah. They don't have a number 2 and they don't have a tight end.
So it's one of those two things, I think. Could we see him go DJ Moore? Because this could be DJ Moore range, the wide receiver of Maryland.
We're nearing that range, yes.
So that is actually a great observation. I think that's about the 6th time that you've had a great observation here that I've never really seen anybody talk about before.
So the Saints still lose their pick because of the bounty scandal because they're dirty cheaters. But if they somehow keep the pick, they'll go tight end possibly.
Do you think it'll be Dallas Goedert though, or somebody else?
Pepper Andrews.
So I think we've established that one, even though we didn't really want to. We still established it. Yep. I'm thinking DJ Moore range, or it could be a tight end here.
Or they lose the pick because they're cheaters.
All right, pick number 28, the Pittsburgh Steelers. I think this one's established. Linebacker Leighton Vander Esch out of Boise State. I think it's ideal since they need a linebacker.
He's the best linebacker available.
Since Shazier is most likely not going to play in 2018.
He will be missed, yes. He won't be there.
So is that something you could agree on?
Or? Yeah, they got rid of Jarvis Jones. They need to fill out their linebacker core. Last year, it was just decimated with injuries. The one dude who's really old left to New England, then retired. They need to put new troops in there.
So I'm glad we did that one. I think that one's established.
Yeah.
That's ideal. Leighton Vander Esch, linebacker, Boise State.
Yep.
Okay, 29, the Jacksonville Jaguars.
A wide receiver out of somewhere.
I don't know, though. I feel like we've talked about too many teams that have done wide receiver so far. But although I will finally give credit to the Jacksonville Jaguars for coming maybe two bad calls away from going to the Super Bowl,
Yeah,
who knows, maybe even winning.
that
Even
game
though I hate the Jaguars, I think they're overrated. I think their fans are delusional.
they had a shot this year.
Now that you say that, they're going 8-8.
Their division's bad. They'll go 10-6.
Good point. Good point. And they will hopefully get knocked out in the wild card round because really, the Bills and the Jaguars was the worst playoff game of all time.
No, that was the best playoff game of all time because of how bad it was. It was a meme.
Hey, I'm talking Cardinals Panthers, and I think it was whatever that one year was that the Panthers were like 6-7-1 or whatever and went to the playoffs. I'm talking Cardinals and Panthers that year bad.
That I remember that the Falcons lost that game to
34-3.
Yep.
Departure of Mike Smith, and in comes Dan Quinn. And a 28-3 lead.
Blown.
Yeah,
I think
we are not over that.
so. What team were we talking about? Jaguar.
The overrated Jaguars.
They'll go. They'll go wide receiver, or an offensive lineman. Their defense is good. Like they don't need much on the defensive end.
All right, we've had whatever to watch. Comment a couple of things in the live chat. He said Beasley's inconsistent back when we talked about the Falcons.
Yes, he's right. Preach.
They draft Mickey Mouse.
Sure, that could work.
Screw Nick Fairley. Jags need a wide receiver who can catch a jump ball.
Yes, they're all speedy small guys. They need a jump ball receiver.
And that actually brings me to this point here, real quick. They need a wide receiver. Losing Robinson and Hearns in free agency.
Yep.
And you're left with Keenan Cole, an undrafted rookie.
Woo, that's good.
You're left with him.
Yeet.
At least, really. Because who will Blake Bortles throw the ball to? Because his top two receivers are gone.
Well, Blake Bortles is the best quarterback in history. He can do anything.
Well, yeah, he's never lost a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
He also says, don't doubt the Texans. He likes Watson.
Watson's good. What else do they have beside him and the wide receiver who's good?
J.J. Watt, who is unfortunately injury prone and deserves better anyways.
Or he's injury prone. Availability is the best ability, and I've lost faith in their defense to stay healthy. Every year it's an injury with him.
All right, so we've established two things for Jacksonville here. That they're going wide receiver and that they'll be back in the playoffs only because they're in a horrible division.
Yep. Tennessee's mediocre. The Colts are a joke. And Houston, will they stay?
It really dictates on if Watson could really be Aaron Rodgers, who can score 35 a game and despite having a crappy defense.
Their defense is two players, Clowney and Watt.
And Watt's injured half the time, at least 80% of the time, it feels like.
Yep, but Clowney will be playing for another contract because he's a free agent after this season, so he'll have motivation there.
Okay, number 30, the Minnesota Vikings.
Ooh, they need to if they could shore up their offensive line, that always help. Their defense is fine. Just go for most talented guy available, or just trade down for the heck of it.
Because I think the Vikings Now that they have a quarterback in Kirk Cousins, I think they should be. Yeah, I'm saying it. I think they should be the favorite to win the NFC this year. Now that they have a quarterback that is not Case Keenum.
Oh, I know what they need. Running back.
Well, Dalvin Cook had a seasoning injury, and
Yep. Who's their power back? They need a power back.
seventh time tonight. You've got me thinking.
Chubb. Even
Are
though
you
that might
sure it's not? Are you sure it's not really for Chubb?
that'd be an overdraft, but they need a power running back. Like they could trade down and get him in the second round, but they need a power back. They need a guy with power.
Well, Chubb though, I feel like he's more of a second round guy to tell you the truth.
He is.
He would have been probably a first rounder if he came out last year, wouldn't he? Or still a second rounder?
Yeah, he's a second round guy.
Well,
Doesn't
the
have the.
Vikings do need their power back because I don't know, was McKinnon on the team or did he sign with the Jets?
I don't remember.
Because I thought that one of their backs went to the Jets.
I don't remember.
Maybe I play Madden 18 too much because that's probably maybe something.
Franchise mode.
Yeah, that's probably what I'm doing too much.
I don't know much about the Vikings, but they need a power back. Someone to get that 1 yard on 3rd and 1.
Oh, hey, Nick Chubb could be reaching number 30, but you never know. It could work out.
Yep.
And you
31.
have Nick Chubb and Dalvin Cook, two running backs in college that were eaters.
They were elite.
Although I think the pick here, though, I think the Vikings are they're the following away from being potentially Super Bowl champions. Offensive tackle, probably one or two, maybe two more away. I think maybe one more corner away to complement Trey Waynes. And I think they're probably one more front seven guy away.
Their front seven's loaded. They're
even more loaded. You gotta build a wall
with depth in case one guy goes down. Next man up, you're good to go.
Precise, and that's what the Falcons had last year. That's why their defense kept them in games.
Yep.
That's what Seattle had back when it was successful.
A good defensive rotation, everyone could stay fresh. 21 is New England. 31
is the Patriots again in the first round.
They have to go corner.
But are there any corners, though, that are really worth reaching on?
No, but they could try to convert a safety into a corner.
Are you thinking Ronnie Harrison out of Alabama?
Yeah, or the dude out of Stanford.
Justin Reed.
Yep.
That does seem ideal.
Try to convert a safety to corner because all the corner talent's dried up. That could be possible.
Or maybe offensive lineman Colton Miller out of UCLA.
Yeah,
if the Vikings don't take him before that. I will guarantee that Colton Miller will either be 30 or 31 here.
I think you're right. I think there's about an 80 to 85% chance of that happening.
And here comes that one guy that crapped on me for 87% with the Jets.
That guy's a bozo.
I know. I mean, I don't even want to really respond. I don't want to taunt anyway. I just want to just sit down and be humble, like Kendrick Lamar taught me.
Yes, be humble.
Yeah, but
let's gloat.
Yeah. What do they call that meme? It's like the Patrick meme, like the malicious Patrick.
Yeah. SpongeBob.
Yeah, SpongeBob got some great memes.
Yep.
And the final pick in the first round, the Super Bowl champions, the Philadelphia Eagles, who did it without Carson Wentz. They did it with Nick Foles at quarterback. Just decimated by injuries, the Eagles still managed to win the Lombardi.
Mm-hmm.
And what do they need to do?
Celebrate.
To get back there.
They need to focus up on defense and draft depth, especially to their line, defensive line.
And I might have an idea who that could be, but I'm not sure if I necessarily remember who I was thinking of.
Defensive tackle out of Florida. I think his last name's Hill or something like that, or Bryant.
Yeah, Taven Bryan. That's who I'm thinking. Because he's been talked about going potentially in the range of 20 to 26 to Atlanta.
Yep.
Because that's what it's been ideal. And that could be something.
I agree. Have him just in there, rotate him in, keep your guys fresh.
That's ideal. But what could also be ideal is possibly Darius Geis if he happens to fall to number 32.
Well, they have a Jai, but they could use another one. Yeah, I'm with you.
But remember, Blunt went to the Lions.
He did. He left.
And even though Blunt did go to the Lions, I unfortunately forgot to mention it because I just remembered it as soon as you said Ajayi. But do you really think Blunt is going to rush for 100 yards every single game in Detroit?
No.
And plus, he's old. I think, what is he, 31 now?
He's washed.
I feel like just yesterday he punched that guy from Boise State.
He's good for 3rd and 1.
But not for 1st and 15.
Yeah.
He's someone like Sony who can get 24 on 3rd and 15.
Look for Sony Michel, go Dogs, or Geis if he's still there. But I think Geis could be off the board.
Because we've already mentioned that Michelle could be ideal for 24 to Carolina.
Yeah. He could fall here. They could go Hill. They'll probably go with the best guy available for depth purposes.
And I did on the draft materials, I put it right up here on this board. They earn the right for your BPA, best player available.
Yes. BPA is a good strategy, especially for the teams that already have a good core and a pretty much solid set group of guys.
Because remember, the Eagles pretty much locked up their Super Bowl roster till at least 2021.
Yep.
They've locked up most of it.
I agree. They need to go BPA.
All right, so really quickly though, because I know we're both tired here, because we've been at it for over 90 minutes. So let's just get to like what we've seen in the chat, because we've missed some stuff. Alex Gonzalez asked, do we question Josh Rosen's durability in past injuries?
Yes, but no more so than we would anyone else's.
For me, I think it is a concern in a way because really it's questionable because what if it happens again? Because remember, we've seen Sam Bradford being injury prone.
Yes.
Ever since after he won the Heisman Trophy.
He was made of glass, yes.
That was definitely a concern.
But he's the most pure quarterback available. So is it worth the risk? And it's not that big of a risk. He stayed healthy his last year completely.
Yes, and even when he wasn't healthy, it just shown the effect of UCLA football at that point.
Yep.
It had the same effect with Green Bay after Rodgers went down. It had the same effect for the Texans when Watson went down.
Yep. Yeah, I think Rosen, I don't think he'll get hurt. Like, I just have a gut feeling he'll stay healthy.
If Rosen doesn't get hurt, I think he could win one Super Bowl and only one.
One.
And it's probably going to be that 1 year where it's like, I don't know, the Jets versus, the Chicago Bears or something.
A crap bowl.
Yeah, where it's like 10-7.
Ooh, that'd be fun.
Yeah, it probably matter. As long as he blows a 20-3 lead, I guess.
More wings eaten than sports, or more wings eaten than points scored.
More pizza for me though. I do pizza, not wings. I don't know why, but as you can tell, I'm a pizza eater.
Pizza's good. Pizza's a solid choice. I support pizza.
Little Caesars number one.
Pizza, pizza.
And he believes the Jets draft Mayfield. He thinks he's the best QB in the draft.
I have him at number 2.
Okay, with my quarterback rankings, I think it goes Rosen. I think Mayfield and Jackson could be tied for number 2. I think Darnold is number 3. And I think Josh Allen's the worst out of the 5 that are mainly talked about.
Yep.
In
I
fact, I say this sometimes. I'm so low on Josh Allen. Out of the 4 quarterbacks that are highly talked about, I think he's 5th.
Yeah.
Because I think Lamar Jackson will turn out better than Josh Allen.
I do too. Mine goes Darnold, Mayfield, Darnold, Jackson, Allen.
Benjamin Bierce asks, what do we think of Darius Geis possibly going to the Redskins?
Yes. Possibility if they trade down.
You heard it here for the 9th time where he makes a good point. This is why we love having you on here, because you get me thinking a lot.
It's too high for Geis at 13, but if they trade down maybe 5 to 8 picks, then they get him.
Well, the thing that does puzzle me, though, didn't they draft 2 running backs last year? Didn't they draft Shamaje Perine and then Chris Thompson like round 5?
Yeah, but they're both terrible.
Well, not for fantasy wise. Thompson was like probably single-handedly winning me a matchup or 2 here and there.
He got hurt.
Oh yeah, but it was like, PPR stuff though.
Well, yeah, but like that doesn't translate to real football. They didn't have a running game. It was just Cousins throwing.
If the Redskins trade down to like maybe 18 or 20 for that, I'm gonna remember this question.
That was a solid question.
Oh, and he also says his comparison for Sony Michel is Brian Westbrook.
Kamara is the best comparison for him.
Yeah, but I think he just didn't want to be basic, though. I think he wanted to be different because I think maybe he's someone that's tired of all the
Kamara
people thinking the same way. Kind of like myself.
The recency bias with Kamara and Michelle, and you're getting that same thing. It's just a recency bias with Kamara. So whenever you hear Michelle, you think Kamara because of how recent they've been sort of in the media.
And I could also understand that as well. There's a lot of recency bias everywhere. But yes, I think what he's saying is he wanted to make a big comparison that wasn't the same as everybody else's. I think he's someone like me that gets tired of all the same people thinking the same thing. Like if we thought that, I don't know, let's just say that everybody thought that the Eagles would automatically advance to Atlanta in February. But maybe I don't think so. I think the Vikings should be favored now that they actually have a quarterback now.
I agree.
That's kind of what it felt like, at least comparing it to that.
I'm with you. That's a solid point.
And he says that Sony Michel is actually his favorite running back in the draft, not named Saquon Barkley.
I hear that a lot. Sony is legit.
And he says that NFL is better than NBA, obviously, because the NBA is predictable.
Yep.
Although I didn't see the Pelicans sweeping the Trailblazers coming, though.
This year's been a good year for NBA.
And I also didn't see coming the 76ers have a 3-1 lead. I thought it would go to 7.
I did too, but the Heat have some problems right now.
You know what? I want the 76ers in the finals now. Screw it.
I don't. LeBron.
Well, he is number 1 right now.
We need LeBron for basketball. He is keeping the NBA relevant.
Well, I do think it could end up being we could possibly see like a Cavs 76ers Game 7 of the Eastern Conference Final rigged for the Cavs. like, kind of like what it was for the Kings and Lakers back in 2001, I think it was.
Yep, that was the most rigged sports game ever.
Frickin' Freemasons.
Illuminati.
Correct. Oh, and he says he got a video of his golden corralling with his friends across the street on YouTube. Yeah, I'll check that out. Hopefully everybody checks that out. Seb, who is on a lot of these streams, that he loves the channel. Thank you for tuning in.
Thank you, my man.
See, we talked about Alex. We got Angelica G says a live is definitely popping. That's probably sarcasm because,
Yeah.
Then she also says something about that I never saw the comment because really I didn't see like any of these until, that we get to things that, had mattered at that point.
Yeah.
Like, it's not like I wasn't going to just miss them intentionally.
Maliciously, just no thanks.
Yeah, of course not. I'm not the jerk that just completely ignores everybody. I mean, we did that for the top 50 thing, and I felt bad about it because I saw like a couple people had some interesting things to say.
Yeah, I like hearing what people say. I think other people have good insight. I love reading comments. It's great.
And I'm glad YouTube actually, they brought back seeing the live chat after the stream. Because I think they used to not do that. They used to not do that because I think if I had to guess, because I've only been on YouTube since 2015, but if I had to guess, I'm thinking because people kept complaining about like their streams and people probably kept, just, like not only like trolling, but like using like racial terms or like political terms or something.
Trolling, yeah.
Yeah. That's kind of what I think it was.
It was that, yeah.
Yeah, because I could see the YouTubers ever complain about it. I won't give names though, because it's like the famous ones.
Yeah. Well, it was a pleasure coming on the stream. I have to get up and work tomorrow, so
all right. Or I think you can just sign off on because I was going to read the last couple of ones.
Should I stay on for these or?
Oh, you don't have to if you don't want to.
I got to get to work tomorrow, but thank you for having me so much. I hope y'all enjoyed it. Subscribe to my man's channel. I'll see y'all when the NBA draft lottery comes around.
And thank you so much for coming on. I know was really difficult for you to come on tonight, but I appreciate you still made it. You got my mind thinking at least 11 times tonight.
Thanks, man. Well, it was a pleasure. It was a pleasure to come on the show. I'll see you. Well, Twitter, obviously, but the draft lottery, I will be here and I will bring my insight to the NBA.
Yes, because we need the NBA knowledge from you.
I'm an NBA expert. Thank y'all. See y'all later. Adios.
What a great guy. See, it means a lot to have him on there because he brings knowledge that I never really think of. I think it's best to maybe hear multiple thoughts. And I want to probably bring in more people on sometime. And I've already got a handful of people that I'm thinking of. Anyway, let's finish off reading the comments real quick. Benjamin Beers said Denzel Ward to Green Bay, and Denzel will be long gone by pick 14, responds Alex Gonzalez. Well, Denzel Ward is probably going to be off the board by number 14, but if he happens to still be there, because we don't know who's going to fall when. We don't know what the draft boards are yet. I don't think the teams itself knows what the draft boards are yet. But whoever is going to get Denzel Ward, it could be a steal. In fact, Denzel Ward at number 14 in Green Bay, if he's still available, could be ideal because the Packers do need a corner. Benjamin Bierce, Jerry Alexander, Josh Jackson is too overrated. I could see how you feel that way, considering that Josh Jackson really didn't get his draft stock level up until his junior season, where he had, I think it was 7 or 8 interceptions in his junior season. So I could see why he feels that Josh Jackson is overrated. But you just have to think of what kind of system they're going to go in. You just never know. Angelica G. So y'all don't want to choose your fave by how cute the mascot is. No, I do not. Alex Gonzalez, I think he thinks it's a close race between Alexander and Jackson. I'm thinking as far as that is concerned, I think that's what maybe that was the Packers pick at that time. Whatever to watch, Chargers will have short term success. I kind of agree with you in a way. I think it's possible because the Chargers are going to need a franchise quarterback pretty soon because Philip Rivers is not getting any younger. Benjamin Bierce, will Dez Bryant be signed with a team, especially before the big Thursday through Saturday weekend? Well, I'm astonished that Dez Bryant has not been signed by now. I think it's ridiculous. Although we have covered some teams that do need wide receivers. For example, one that I didn't expect till tonight until Sam brought it up. The Saints. Maybe even the Jaguars. Because they need a wide receiver now. Although Dez and Odell Beckham have hung out this week, could he be going to the Giants? So I'm surprised that he's not even signed yet at this point. That is a huge surprise to me. I really thought that Dez Bryant was going to get signed about a week ago, even before he got cut. So that is a surprise. Whatever to watch, they win their division this year. I'm guessing that's with the Chargers because he said it right after short-term success. That's what I assume. Yes, whatever to watch. They have the potential to win their division because we don't know what Pat Mahomes is capable of yet. The Broncos are still going to be weak. And we don't know what to expect out of the Raiders, considering that they were a huge disappointment last season. What will John Gruden bring to the table? Because the NFL has changed ever since John Gruden last coached. Alex Gonzalez, too high for Orlando Brown. In his opinion, Orlando Brown is a day 2 pick. It depends on how you look at things, because sometimes day 2 people are drafted in day 1, and day 1 people end up falling in day 2. Even in some instances, like Lael Collins, they're either day 3 or they don't get drafted at all. So I think Orlando Brown, I think that was just kind of an offensive line pick, but day 2 is kind of ideal now that I think about it. Benjamin Bierce, the Raiders are better than the Chargers, no doubt. Well, for right now, it's looking like that. Wherever to watch, Roquan is a freak. And he also says bye-bye Seahawks. Alex Gonzalez said Seahawks could go with an offensive lineman. They could as well, but the question is it too early? Like, I think if Mike McGlinchey falls number 18, that could be a pick. And we have Angelica G asking, want me to take notes? Send them to my Snapchat. Well, that'd be nice to do, but they're really my own notes. Alex Gonzalez. Whatever to watch, the Bengals have a few pieces on defense. But to win championships and to get to the playoffs, you need more than a few pieces. You need all the pieces to fall in the right place. Alex Gonzalez, Hernandez is a monster, no doubt. He's a first rounder. Whatever to watch, the Patriots should draft Matt. Yeah, we covered that one. How about a wide receiver the Titans asked whatever to watch? Well, the Titans did go wide receiver last year with Corey Davis, and he didn't really jump off the charts for me, but I think he still has talent. See, Angelica G says, enjoy the chat's beauties. Well, that means a lot that we have nice people out in the world now, considering sometimes we have a world filled with hatred and bigotry. Whatever to watch, Justin Fields played well in the spring game today. Falcons have great talent, and they better not waste it. Absolutely. I feel like the Falcons did waste the talent last season because the defense outplayed the offense. And that is nothing that, and that's the first time I've seen that in the Matt Ryan era. Alex Gonzalez, everyone wants a Vita Vea on their team. He might slip, but not that far down. I know it's kind of a shame because if Vita Vea actually falls outside the top 15, I'm astonished by it. So it'd be surprised if he even fell that low. Let's see, whatever, Beasley's inconsistent. Mad Mike Sports. In fact, I love that he's actually in the top chat because I want to encourage you guys to subscribe to his channel because he says some interesting things about the Atlanta Falcons. Dan Quinn's the best thing to happen to the Falcons in years. Absolutely. I think he is the best thing to happen. And Beasley is not inconsistent. He played a lot of linebacker. Experiment gone wrong. Now he's back at DE. Well, obviously it turned out that the Beasley linebacker experiment didn't even work. If it didn't work the first couple of weeks, why would they continue it till the end of the season? That was kind of a frustrating thing to deal with. Because it took away it just took away his talent away. It didn't utilize the talent that he knew that he had and that the coaching staff knew that he had. Vikings will miss the playoffs this year because Vikings. Will draft a ticket to not make the playoffs because NFC East reasons. I'm guessing that was probably the Dallas Cowboys or something. Whatever to watch says the Giants will win the NFC East because NFC reasons. And finally, Alex Gonzalez, Rockets versus Raptors / 76ers in the NBA Finals. I'd love to see that. I mean, I didn't have it in my NBA playoff predictions, but it would be nice to see two new teams in it, considering we've had to deal with the Cavs and Warriors the last 3 years. Although I kind of wish it was Cavs Warriors now because I've been rambling and raving all season about how will be those two teams in the finals the whole season. But that'd be interesting to see those two teams in the finals. I would love to see the 76ers in the finals, but I don't know if they can get there. Though they have impressed me so far in these playoffs. So I'm going to end the chat there. Thank you to everyone that tuned in. Also, thank you again to Sam McBuckets, who joined in, who did this last with me. He said some interesting stuff again tonight, as he always does. I'm hoping to bring in more guests pretty soon, because everybody does have some interesting things to say. Like and subscribe to the channel, share this with your friends and family, and feel free to rewatch it. I will see you next time. Have a wonderful night, everyone.